Torts gets hurt near the end of the last game, going to be out for the first game of this Carolina series. Do you know at this point in time if this is going to be a one-game thing or if it's going to be something that might fester a little bit longer?
I think he's getting checked more today. We'll find out more information today, but he's definitely out tomorrow.
Now, a couple games ago, you had Michael Del Zotto skating with Seth Jones, and I know in practice you had Dean Kukin there. And was it last year? The years all run together, but Zach got injured, had a shoulder injury. I think it was last year against the Islanders. Anyway, Dean Kukin went up there with Seth Jones in Zach's absence and played very well. I don't want to say it was seamless and you didn't miss Zach or anything because that's crazy, but he filled in admirably. Does that situation plus what he has done so far this year earn him a spot to play with Seth?
Yeah. He deserves a chance. Mike could go there too. Playing Michael, I mean, Michael and Dean have probably been our most consistent pair, and so we're splitting them up to try to even out our back end, just to give it some balance. So Dean will go there. Michael will probably get some time there too. Anybody could. Gabby could get some time. We'll see how it all plays out, but Kooks is going to get the opportunity to play there.
Michael Del Zotto, I just said this to somebody after the game the other night. What a great signing that was, because he seems to be exactly what you needed on that back end. He's a veteran presence guy. He's been around. He knows what's going on, and he adapts very well. I'm sure you've been pleased with what you've seen.
Yeah, it's been very important because the thing I like about Michael is he's a good teammate. He's good to be around. He plays hard. I watch him. He prepares hard, and he's so versatile. I mean, we can move him left side, right side, move him up and down the pairings. That's a really good signing for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, and that's the kind of guy that not every team has, and especially when you get into this situation, you lose one of your top guys. When you're in a pinch, somebody with that versatility stands out even more, don't they?
Absolutely, especially in the back end, Bobby. Yeah, I mean, it's such a position. You never have enough defensemen, and Michael was out there. I remember talking to Michael when the free agents were being signed, and he wasn't signed yet, and just the conversations back and forth. Everybody I've talked to where he's played speaks very highly of him. I had him when he was very early, his when he first broke into the league. So he understands me a little bit too, and I understand him. So I'm glad he's aboard. He's good to have he's good in the room too. He's good on the bench. I think he loosens things up. He's been a very big plus for us.
Every time a conversation comes up between Jody and I about when Michael played for you in New York, and Jody was there for a short part of that, he always breaks into a smile when he thinks about the relationship that you and Michael had back then, which he tells me was a much different relationship than the one that you have right now.
Yeah, Michael came in. I like players with swagger. I think it's very important to have confidence in swagger. Michael had a couple of pots full of it. He overflowed with swagger, and I think there's certain times Michael would get on the wrong part of that swagger, the wrong side of it. And in fact, we sent him down to the minors after his rookie year. We sent him down to the minors, and so him and I, it's really cool. I mean, I have to admit, it's really cool for me to spend some time with him now, even not hockey, just to spend some time talking with him. I had him at such a young age, and to see what he's turned into, I'm proud of him, how he's handled himself. He's bounced around, but he's a survivor. He just plays, and I watch him. He doesn't even know I'm watching him sometimes, where I watch his whole routine as far as getting prepared for a game, for a practice. He's a good pro, and I'm proud of him because he didn't have a clue what it was to be a pro early on, which he shouldn't have. And so we had to go through the process together a little bit.
This is a great example. You and I have talked for years about this and how much you appreciate the maturation of players. And sometimes, as you've told me before, you don't even get to appreciate it until that player's retired and they're not around you anymore. This is one of those cases where you caught it at the beginning and now you're getting it here on the back end for him too. And you've watched it happen and you still get to benefit from it.
Yeah. And it hasn't happened that often with me, that players come back and play for me and you see the maturation. Now, I got a bunch of guys in Tampa when we won a Stanley Cup, and we went through a major process there with a young team and God, did we have some battles there with the whole group. Um, and now to talk about it now as adults, and it's cool, but to do it as a player, and now I'm coaching him again, it's fun for me. And, I coach him differently because he deserves that. He's gone through the process. Now he's going to get coached the proper way when he needs to be coached. If he needs to get laid into, he's going to, and he understands that and he accepts that because he knows we're trying to do to make him a better player. And so yeah, it's fun to be around him and for me just to see what he's become. And there's always a soft spot for me for Michael because he's always stayed in touch with my good friend Liam Trainer. Yeah, 3-limb cerebral palsy, a kid that never had a chance at a real life, well, he has a great life, but just to be able to do some of the things that he has not been able to do, Michael's always looked after him. And that's always been very special for me to see.
And I know that's one of the things that's tough for you about not going to New York this year is seeing Liam, which he's always outside that dressing room at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. Well, he's on my cell phone every day. I mean, we don't see each other that much. I'm not a big, what do you call it? The Skype stuff. I don't do that. We've done it once, him and I, but we're in touch daily. And so now this is his second year in college. There's a guy that I'm so proud of. I know we're getting off subject here, but Liam and his family, that's part of our family. And so I'm so proud of him and what he's doing and going to school, second year college, great grades, wants to coach. So it's really cool.
Well, you've obviously matured as a coach too for Michael to want to come back because, as you said, nobody ever wanted to come back and play for you again. So I guess you've matured as well.
Yeah, well, I do think I try to make sure the player knows when we're having a rough patch that it's never been personal with me. It never will be. I don't have a right to turn into a personal conflict. It's to try to make the person a better player, and for me, sometimes more importantly, a better person. And it takes players a little while to understand that. Probably took Michael a few years, but remember when Michael was in Philly, he was sitting out. We were talking. I was in between jobs. Someone fired me, and I was in between jobs, and we had talked about his game. I looked at some video, so we've had the relationship right on through here. So, and that means a lot to me that a player that had a rough time with me at certain times, respected me enough and maybe even liked me enough to contact me and say, you know what, can we talk a little bit? Can you look at this? And that meant a lot to me when he reached out to me.
It's going to destroy your narrative of being a bad guy throughout the hockey media. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, people can think what they want.
Hey, in talking about Michael and talking about Dean Kukin, they both are very good at that first pass out of the zone. We haven't seen that first pass in that quick transition game enough. I'm sure you would think in these first 12 games here. How much of that falls on the defenseman? How much of that falls on what the forwards are doing as well?
Yeah, it's 50-50 to me because we have not done a good enough job. We call it arrivals, getting back into our end zone quick enough to get yourself in position to get going the other way. I think we've done our back pressure and our arrival capability as far as moving our legs to get back hasn't been consistent enough. So it kind of leaves our D hung out to dry sometimes when they look up and there's no one there for an outlet. But I'm not going to let the D off either because they have had chances to make plays when we're there, and they haven't. It's been a very I've used the word disjointed a couple of times now, but I like to I come up with a new word. We're just not cohesive. We're not, and that's something that is the biggest part of my job right now, is for us to become more cohesive in our game, in all aspects of our game. And that's part of our responsibility as coaches to make that happen. We have not done a good enough job.
I was thinking about that because I've heard you talking about this, repeatedly. You're finding your identity and your cohesiveness and all this stuff. In a normal season, if you would have started off in Nashville and spent 3 nights in Nashville, I think your team would be as together as a team would be because they would have been able to go out together. They would have had dinner together. I mean, that's one of those cities where it can bring a group together really quickly. But then again, that's just one of those things that you're battling here in
Yeah.
this type of a season where your guys, they can barely get together and have a meal together.
Yeah, and listen, let's make sure all teams are going through that, not just us. So some of our struggles are because of that, but all teams are trying to find a way to get through it. Some teams are doing a better job of it than us. But it, you need to have some fun. You know, I've told you, that's why I stay over after trips instead of flying right to the next city. I like staying over. So then the players can go out to dinner, maybe have a beer or two together. Just kind of hang out instead of getting the plane. When they get on a plane, they get their computer or their little whatever device they have, and they're playing video games and they're not even talking to one another. I think it's really important in developing that. And we have not been able to do that. And, rightfully so, because we have to follow the regulations and the protocols and try to keep us safe and everybody else safe around us. So we got to figure out a way to make this happen and find out, really get back to who we are as our identity.
You had Alexander Texier on the wing the last game and Max Domi in the middle. It looks like you're going to flip that. And I know you had Max on a wing a couple of games ago as well. Now that you're looking at video of his game, what are you seeing that that he's not doing that he needs to do to get better to be able to handle what's in the middle of the ice?
Well, the biggest thing with him, and I'm going to keep him on wing for a bit here. The center ice position just has not been. He has struggled there, and I think the biggest thing are his legs. His legs just aren't moving. Max is an energy guy. He's in your face. He's testing you at the blue line with his speed. He's a really good player. Has he shown it here? No, he hasn't. And that's not trying to come down on him. It's just what it is. And the way for him to get out of that, I think the biggest thing is to move his legs. He almost sent me some video of him from last year and a couple of years ago. I watched it yesterday. It's a different player, and he's exciting to watch. And so I watched it. I sent it to him yesterday. We did some video as a team today, and I just want him to contrast what he sees and what's going on now to what he was doing, and I think that'll help him. And I'm not trying to run down Max at all by saying he's struggling. It is what he's doing, and once you realize there is a problem, I think that helps you try to find a solution. So the first step for him is just his legs, as far as getting skating.
I know when he got traded here, there were some stories that were talking about that he was unhappy in Montreal, that they had moved him out of the middle and that they put him on the wing. And again, the stories were that he wasn't sure why, and he's never addressed that. And I'm not asking you to address anything that happened with him in Montreal, but what I am going to ask you is, and I think I know the answer to this question, is communication between you and Max Domi any problem here? Does he know exactly what your thought process is and why you're making this move?
Yeah, we've been wide open, as we always are, and it's not. Max and I have talked a little one-on-one. Bobby, I don't have a lot of one-on-one meetings. I don't, because I think when you're coaching a player, and you do it in front of the group, you're coaching the group. It really doubles up on coaching, and so as always, but everything we do here, we do it we don't do it in the locker room anymore. We use a bigger room for social distancing and all that. But we do it as a group, and we just put it out there, and we're honest with one another. And I give them an opportunity to say some things to me that they would like to say if they're confused. And that's how we go about it. So I hope he doesn't feel that way, because we've been pretty much straightforward, and we want to help him. That's all. That's for me. I just want to help him, because I think he could be a major cog to this team, but we need to get that going right away.
Well, the people like to look at the offensive production out of that center position, but I know for you and the way that you want your team to play, defense is a really big part of what those guys are going to do. So whether you're talking about Max Domi or whether you're talking about Alexander Texier, who's trying to get acclimated to the defensive part of the game in the National Hockey League. I mean, you're two really good defensive guys, Koivu and Nash. You got them as a 3 and 4, so they're not on the ice as much. Does that concern you when you take on a team like the Hurricanes, because they utilize their speed so well?
Well, they're one of the fastest teams. They're one of the top teams in the league, and they're one of the fastest teams in the league. And everything concerns me when I don't think we're playing that well. The center ice position, it is you got to do some thinking there. And that's why I'm taking Max out, to not have him think. I just want him to skate. Even Miko, it's a new team, a little bit of I'm not sure it's a new system, but we're trying to get him to understand how we play in our end zone a little bit more. There's been some struggles there with him too. So, we've got a new center ice. I mean, they're all new guys. Other than Asher, they're all new guys. And that's a very important part to your team. And we're going through some of the growing pains there at that position.
For Koivu, is it just the coverages that he played when he was with Minnesota for all those years as opposed to what you do?
Yeah, and I don't know how many did it. I know Miko's a very intelligent player, and he's going to pick it up. I just want us, for all our centers, I want us stiffer. I want us tighter to the man. We play a zone coverage, but it doesn't mean you let them walk out of the corner and keep them to, sometimes when a team plays a zone coverage, some people can fall into the trap that they just fill the middle of the ice and they don't take time and space when they have an opportunity. That's the thing. I think Miko's kind of watching. He's not getting beat in the middle, but the guy's also walking out of the corner, activating their D or climbing the wall and keeping their offense going. We need to stop the offense in the corner. Our corner defense has not been good enough because we're too far away. And Miko, being one of them, has allowed teams to play out of the corner to keep their offense going.
All right, I've got one more thing for you, and it actually has to do with the guy that you're playing at center right now, and that's Jack Roslovic. Not only does he get his first goal as a Blue Jacket the other night, but, coming in, I'm sure you're trying to figure out exactly what the best way to utilize this guy is. It looks like he's kind of found a home there in the middle. Has he for you right now?
Yeah, he's probably been our most consistent. Well, he's been our most consistent center. Tex has played well at center. Tex makes he makes a lot of mistakes at center ice too, as far as his coverages. But I think it's worth it living through the mistakes and teaching him. Jack has, I just showed video today. He made some really good defensive plays for us the last game, and has made some really good offensive plays. He's got some great patience with the puck. I think where the flip is a very important play in our game in the National Hockey League, but we're flipping it too much. It's our go-to play is flipping a puck, where I think there are plays to be made there. I think Jack has enough guts and enough confidence that he's going to hold on to a puck, wait for some open up and make an offensive play. He's done a really good job of that so far, and he can skate. That's what's nice about Jack. He can skate, and I think he's played very well since we put him at center.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing you can't teach, right? The speed. He has that.
Yeah, he could skate, man. Yeah.
Well, Torts, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You gonna take a glimpse at the Super Bowl after an afternoon game or no?
Yeah, I have both my kids in. My son's in. My daughter's flying in. We'll have them there for a weekend. I know my wife has her finger crossed that we win, because it'll be a nice day there in our house if we win and watch the Super Bowl. If we don't win, I'm not so sure. So I know my family is really wishing that we win on the afternoon game. So we'll see.
I know that feeling. I usually fly with you all the time. So thank you, Torts. Best of luck. Appreciate it.
All right, Bobby. Be well, man.